And let me bring in Shringla, former Indian ambassador to United States and Bangladesh. Ambassador Shringla, appreciate your time. How does this visit redefine India's positioning in the evolving global order, especially in the context of US-China tensions?
So if you look at the fact that within 25 days of taking office, President Trump has invited Prime Minister Modi to Washington, D.C., is a very strong indication of the priority that the US attaches to the relationship and vice versa. And I think being one of the first global leaders to meet President Trump in his second term in office, which has already been a very, very, I would say, newsworthy, momentous sort of period in which he has passed so many executive orders that impinge not only on America, but on the rest of the world. I think that meeting becomes very important. And one of the main, I think, endeavors of both the leaders would be to establish, not only to re-establish that personal connect that existed under Trump 1.0, but also to look at how to take the next steps in our strategic partnership. And as you mentioned, one of the areas that we would like to look at is a worldview in terms of what is happening globally. President Trump has been very invested in bringing an end to conflicts in the Middle East and Europe. And in that context, Prime Minister Modi's position is already known that this is not an era of conflict, that we must work towards peace through dialogue and diplomacy. So there's a very strong convergence between these two leaders that we see. And I think a lot of the conversation will be about how the United States and India can coordinate their positions and work together in that endeavor, how we can supplement the efforts that President Trump is doing now and in a post-conflict scenario. And we can, as Prime Minister Modi says, work together to make the world a better place. So I think that is going to be one of the foremost priorities of that visit and the meeting.
This meeting is coming in the backdrop of two critical developments. First, Donald Trump calling India tariff king and also saying that it's a big abuser of trade ties. And his administration is about to sign an executive order vis-a-vis reciprocal tariffs. And also the deportation which happened of Indians, they were handcuffed and the larger concern shackled and chained. The questions of inhuman deportation has come up. How should India deal with these?
Well, we've been very receptive to US interests, and especially keeping in mind President Trump's priority to send illegal immigrants back. We have, I think, agreed to take back those illegal immigrants who have been who have been proven to be of Indian origin, of Indian citizens. In other words, their documents have been verified, they've proven to be Indians, and they are coming back home. And in that context, I think it's important to convey to President Trump that, look, while we are fully with you in your endeavor to send back illegal immigrants, but at the same time, it's very important to understand that they have to come back in dignity and not, in a manner that is, detrimental to their dignity or their interests. And I think that is very important. So the objectives are the same. It's just a question of how they come back. And I know that, given the relationship that exists between Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, and the respect that President Trump, the personal respect that he has for Prime Minister Modi, he will definitely listen to a very, very useful and constructive suggestion that, look, we will continue to meet your objectives, but it has to be done in a manner that is consistent with our own requirements. I think that's not hard to get across, and I think Prime Minister Modi will convince President Trump that this is the way to send back illegal immigrants from the United States.
Yes, and defense cooperation particularly has emerged as a key instrument of India-US strategic partnership. Donald Trump has also suggested that India should increase its defense procurement. Are you of the opinion that there could be some signals on those lines?
So whether it is, the issue of tariffs, or whether it's the issue of illegal immigrants, or whether it's the issue of defense purchases, I have always maintained, given our past experience with President Trump, that our policy should be both proactive and preemptive. And in a certain sense, we have, because we have already announced some reductions in tariffs that impact on the US, on US exports to India. I'm sure that Prime Minister Modi will suggest other cuts that would accommodate US interests in areas like medical devices and equipment, or electronic equipment, or chemicals. But the important, and of course, area of defense acquisitions, and we ourselves are looking for quality equipment to supplement, our armed forces who are doing a very commendable job in two different fronts. But the fact of the matter is that, that also is an area that we can, I think, cooperate on in terms of providing more, well, let's say, looking at how we can access better US equipment in the defense realm, and at the same time, look at other areas that can, to some extent, reduce the adverse trade balance that the US has with India. In other words, India enjoys, a surplus trade of between 35 and $46 billion with the US. And the endeavor would be to try and balance that trade to the extent that we can. And that can happen, as I said, through enhanced defense purchases, enhanced purchases of oil and gas, some market access to US products that are in very, very specific areas, as I mentioned. And finally, of course, also areas like new areas like nuclear energy. And we are looking for advanced modular reactors or small modular reactors. These are areas where the US has technology, US has expertise. And I think we should invite them to manufacture and to get into co-production, joint production with us in these areas.
Personal bonhomie or personal connect between the two leaders, Donald Trump and Prime Minister Modi, has almost been the driving force of the bilateral or equations or relationship between the two nations. Despite the bonhomie, what are the underlying friction points, according to you, in the India-US relationship, and how do you think it will be addressed?
Well, I mean, I would say this is a relationship that is based on broad convergences.
Yes.
That both countries enjoy. And those convergences are, based on our strategic interests, shared strategic interests, and that will continue irrespective. So there are always minor issues that have to be dealt with in any relationship. There's no relationship that doesn't have issues. And with a relationship as comprehensive and as extensive as the India-US relationship, there are bound to be some issues that come on the table. At this point of time, we have a number of such, issues, whether it is on the issue of tariffs, whether it's in the issue of immigrants, illegal immigration, whether it's in the issue of defense purchases. I mean, these are not even irritants. They're just those issues that have to be discussed by the two sides, and we have to find a way that, that meets both interests, and we move forward. That's what it is. And I think it can be done. I mean, as I said, given Prime Minister Modi's connect, given the respect that President Trump has for Prime Minister Modi, these issues can be easily, taken care of and taken forward. That's my sense. And I am sure that we will see a very constructive, very positive level of exchanges in the first meeting between the two principals under Trump 2.0. And that relationship, the India-US relationship, is poised to move forward significantly in the next 4 years of the term of office of both Prime Minister Modi and President Trump, which coincides, which is not always the case in the India-US relationship.
Yes, absolutely, Ambassador, because, Mr. Modi and Mr. Trump are two strongman leaders who have almost, shared perceptions of a number of issues, including China and radical Islam, threatening the very world order. Coming to my last question to you, the previous US administration and multiple agencies in US have been very critical of India on human rights or the functioning of democratic institutions. Do you think that will feature somewhere in these discussions?
Well, I think, the Republicans in general and President Trump in particular tend to view the relationship from a broad perspective of strategic convergence. And they don't sweat the small stuff, as they say. I think they will be focused on the large picture, how to collaborate with a major partner like India on a global and regional basis, and of course, bilateral basis. And I think that will be the focus of the relationship. we will see far less of those minor irritants that have cropped up in the later part of President Biden's term. Mind you, President Biden also realized the importance of the relationship. He kept these irritants out. It's only in the later part of his tenure that these started creeping in and became a bit of an irritant in the relationship. But I don't see much of that under President Trump's term. There could be one or two issues that might come up. I mean, religious freedoms is something that the US takes seriously, and President Trump has a strong base there. So this may come up, but I mean, these are not make or break issues, and they're not going to mar the relationship or even come in as irritants in the relationship. I don't envisage that happening.